Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for the 3rd of August 2013. Not a whole lot to talk about in the tropics. An interesting situation, though, off the southeast coast as the remnants of Dorian finally made a comeback overnight into a tropical depression. I am not sure why there is an O sitting there as opposed to an L, but there it is nonetheless. Even as we zoom in on it, you can see here post-tropical in nature. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I'll have to email the Hurricane Center and ask them. But the track of it over the next several days, the remnant low off to the northeast and away from the United States. Let's look at a satellite picture of it. Really interesting to see that the low-level circulation has definitely become detached from the rest of the system, the deep convection. There's the low-level swirl right there, easily defined in the satellite animation there, with the low clouds moving off towards the northeast, and then upper-level winds coming out of the northeast themselves, going against that, and therefore you have that deep shear, literally tearing the system apart. Try to draw that again, see if that works out a little better. So the system is moving this way, but the upper-level winds are moving this way. Now you get the idea. It's torn it apart, decoupled the deep thunderstorms away from the center of circulation, and so that will be that. It's not going to be able to strengthen. Looking at an animation of the entire Atlantic Basin right now, nothing else going on as far as tropical cyclone formation. This hazy color right through here is the leading edge of this Saharan dust outbreak that has gotten quite a lot of play on social media, a lot of people talking about it. It's interesting to see, but it's not uncommon. It'll make for some gorgeous sunsets throughout the islands here, the Greater Antilles, Lesser Antilles, the Bahamas, and eventually into Florida and over towards the Yucatan as that dust plume works its way across the Caribbean. The particulate matter in the atmosphere scattering the sun's rays towards sunset, just so that you get these incredible blood red rich sunsets in most cases. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but this is a pretty good outbreak of dust in the atmosphere, and that should lead to some beautiful sunsets. You also see tropical depression Dorian sitting up here, and those thunderstorms being decoupled and sheared away. Looking at the eastern Pacific, really not a lot to talk about out here in terms of anything of significance to land areas. This is an infrared satellite loop. We have Tropical Storm Gil sitting out here. Another disturbance. I believe this is the 7th or 8th tropical depression. Well, let me just go see. We'll do it live, as they say. Make sure we got our facts straight. Yep, Tropical Depression 8E to the east of Gil. The E does not mean it's to the east of Gil. The E means East Pacific, by the way. And this forecast to have a very short lifespan, becoming a tropical storm and then weakening over the colder waters of the eastern Pacific. What does the future look like? I thought I'd show you, just for entertainment purposes, if you will, the 384-hour GFS forecast from 12Z today. This would be valid on August the 19th at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And we look out across the tropics from Africa over here all the way over to Texas and points in between, and there's not a single tropical cyclone noted on the surface map. And before you say, oh, okay, well, that should be a very good sign for the season, you know, it's usually after the 15th through the 20th, somewhere in that window, and many cases after the 20th of August, that things really start to get busy. So don't let this fool you, even though it's a nice calm pattern through the main development region here as we get towards the middle and then eventually the latter part of the month in the model. I believe this will change, and this will be something that we will be looking at as we go further out into time. You'll see a drastic change. Pressures, a couple of clues to take away from here. Pressures are lower now, 1019 to 1022 millibars, as opposed to the whopping 1030 and 1032 millibar highs that were sitting out here. And then your pressures down in the deep tropics are also starting to come down to 1012, 1014 millibars from 1016 to 1020 across the deep tropics here. And that's just a sign that things are slowly going to be changing in the direction favoring climatology, and that simply means we see a normal uptick in activity towards the last third of August, and I don't see why this year will be any different. So, at least for now, things are generally quiet. We'll watch the leftovers of Dorian, but I'm telling you, no worries at all. It'll scoot off to the northeast, be absorbed in the cold front that moved off the southeast coast, which is hardly noticeable, still muggy out there, but a cold front nonetheless, and that'll be that. So we'll have a quiet period for the next several days. Again, I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, my website. Always a privilege to do these videos for you on Hurricane and Hurricane HD. Hurricane Pro, of course, the new version of that for this year. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I'll have another update for you tomorrow.